This next one, though, if you wanted to stay at home, was probably the biggest release that should have been released in theaters, but Fox, Disney has been doing their Hulu releases, and for the most part, they've been pretty decent. A lot of people compared this to the last one, which was Prey, another movie that people thought should have played in theaters, where you have a young girl struggling with her own, fighting extraterrestrials who come in, and now you have a young girl struggling with her own with extraterrestrials coming in, and no one will save you. A nice little throwback home invasion movie. This is one where they really pitched the idea of it being as dialogue less as possible. I thought it handled it a lot better than something like A Quiet Place, where they should have been quiet the entire time, and they never are. Plus, it has a fantastic performance. What do you think about this one?
It's really well directed. I think the sequences are very like suspenseful and really well realized. It pulls off the no dialogue thing. I did find it to maybe be like a little bit of like a hat on a hat. I don't know if it needed it. Like I was sort of saying after I saw it, like there's a few words in it, and I feel like there just could have been a few more words, and it would have felt a little more natural, a little less like it's trying to do a thing. And I there's just moments where I'm thinking, oh, they're doing no dialogue, and I'd rather it just sort of feel subtle, if that makes sense. And even if you just throw in like 10 more words of dialogue there, I wouldn't have had my attention called to it, and I could have just focused on the masterful staging and how suspenseful it is. And I love the return to like the little gray man alien thing. Everybody's trying to do these crazy new designs. Like let's do a classic and do it well.
We're gentrifying their designs. What if that is what they look like, and we haven't been doing them?
Yeah,
I do agree with you. You can't deny that it's definitely trying to do the bit of no dialogue.
Yeah,
I was impressed by it. You get to this one point where there is an interaction between people in a town, and you're like, okay, how are they going to get out of this one?
Right.
And it kind of worked. It does feel very stagey. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like, is it a chicken and the egg situation where if they let themselves do a little more dialogue, they wouldn't have made those sequences so meticulously crafted, and it wouldn't have been so good visually?
Yeah, so after that, like, I didn't mind it after the fact because I kind of knew it going in. But then you have what you said, what could be the little bits of dialogue, what those end up being, the type of, let's say, confession that dialogue brings in.
Right.
I thought helped it by the end of it, but it could feel stagey for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Overall, like you said, it's just the direction here. It's the performances when you're zooming in on her for the most part. Someone who's been by herself the entire time, which is why she doesn't really talk. And the more that you discover a little bit about what happened in her past, I think it becomes really intriguing, and you get into the like thematics of what's really going on with her and what she's trying to go through. The ending is interesting, though, because you could either see it as a very happy ending, or you could see it as like the worst ending possible. And I know it's ticked off a lot of people. I'm kind of the mind where it's like, I understand the positive ending, but bro, this is like, it is the worst possible scenario. The closest thing that I've been calling it to, it's like a Midsommar ending. And I see this new wave of directors going like, yeah, the whole world might have ended, but like our character finally got the smile that they wanted. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm not of that type of storyline way of thinking that as long as the truth for the character is there, then everything's okay. I'm like, no, there's a world invasion going on. I'm worried about a couple of other truths.
Yeah, it's like those bittersweet endings, but when you focus a little more in on them, it's a lot more bitter than it is sweet.
More bitter than it is sweet, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, are we underrating Caitlin Dever? She's like really excellent
Not
here,
us.
and excellent in a way that's very different from how she's excellent in what is it, Rosalind, which was another straight to Hulu from earlier this year.
And that got stripped. That just got put up on VOD. Yeah. Booksmart, I'd say, for comedy.
Right. Like she's can do a lot of things. What is it? Unbelievable, where she's really excellent in a more dramatic performance. I don't know, like she's in these pretty solid things that kind of go under the radar, and she is occasionally in something that's a little bit of a misfire, but she's not the reason why. But she's kind of waiting for like that really great marriage of her abilities and the movie. And I feel like, at some point people are going to realize, because she's always great.
Yeah, she has no misses. I do think that we've shot it out. Everything she's been in here. If you see a movie here, chances are we've mentioned it.
Right.
And I don't think that she's ever had a bad performance. And you're right. It's just about like that one that's going to take it over the edge for her, put her on more people's spotlight. But like the range, dude, the range is there. It's fantastic. Shout out Kalen Deaver. No One Will Save You, out on streaming.